Why does it feel like everything these days exists within its own cinematic universe? Marvel, Avengers, DC, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Everyone's teaming up. It's not enough to just watch a movie. You have to watch the 5 movies that give context to the movie that you're watching. Game of Thrones. I feel like when I'm watching Game of Thrones, I'm always watching a crossover episode, but it's the same show. It's oh my god, this person hasn't seen this person in years, but they're really important to each other. On YouTube, you can't just watch one creator's content because their content is referential to all kinds of other content out there. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Rice Gum, all of his friends, they all suddenly got really popular off of each other's clout. It wasn't like you were just watching one person come to fame. You're watching people come to fame within a cinematic universe of other people and their content. And pop music, weirdly, is becoming like this too. The centralizing topic of this video is Taylor Swift's new music video entitled Me, which feels a lot like Avengers Endgame in that it's really, really for the fans. I should pause and say that I love Taylor Swift, and I love her earnestly. I think that she does a great job at doing what she does. She's a pop star, and she makes stuff that makes me feel good. I think she's fantastic, and I think that this new music video is no exception to that. But that said, there's a lot of stuff in this video that doesn't make much sense unless you're keeping up with the Taylor Swift cinematic universe. The pink and white snake at the beginning is a reference to previous album Reputation, and then the snake explodes into butterflies, and that's a really exciting symbol for metamorphosis on Taylor's part. Her cats are very well known within the Taylor universe, Meredith and Olivia, and I love how she calls them her young daughters. I laughed at that super hard. The phone, the pink phone, is a reference to her last album as well. And then a bunch of stills from the music video were being posted without any context on Taylor's Instagram before the drop of the music video. And so it was very cathartic as a fan of Taylor Swift to be watching the new music video and seeing all of these clues from her Instagram suddenly come to light. But all of these details pale in comparison to the big, juicy narrative that Taylor Swift fans have been excited to see for a long time. In short, people are convinced that this new album of Taylor's is going to be her coming out album, that she's going to come out as either bisexual or lesbian. There's been a conspiracy about this among her sort of most devoted fans for quite a while, and I could spend a lot of time in this video parsing out the evidence and fully explaining, which I'm not really going to do. So it might seem a little bit weird that Taylor Swift's most devoted fans are doubtful of the sexuality that she publicly says that she is. But when you think about it, it does make sense. Taylor Swift is an artist who is always creating a new persona with each album that she puts out. She's always sort of reinventing herself in the public eye. She did it in 1989. She did it again with Reputation. She was even doing it in Red to a certain extent. And so to be a long-lasting Taylor Swift fan, you have to approach her music not at face value. You have to buy into this ongoing narrative that sort of the real Taylor Swift has not emerged yet. She is certainly present in her songwriting and her lyricism. She's certainly revealing herself to fans in certain ways, but she has not had the liberty to really express who she really is with her work thus far. And so she is always kind of approaching coming out. So if you believe, as I do, that Taylor Swift is on the verge of coming out, then suddenly this new music video is very interesting, and there's a lot to unpack. Stoking our interests as conspiracy theorists, Taylor herself is telling us that there are more clues in this video about the upcoming album. So we're not even done being detectives in our work as Taylor Swift fans.
The Easter egg hunts, when they stop being fun for my fans, I'll stop doing them, but they seem to be having fun with them. And I think that with music, I'm always trying to expand the experience from just being an audio one. Like, if I can turn it into something that feels symbolic or seems like a scavenger hunt or seems like some kind of brain game that feels like it's more, then I think that's something to keep in mind as a goal for me. Like, I just want to entertain them on as many levels as I possibly can.
This is how a great cinematic universe is fortified. You start with an unanswered question or problem. Who is the real Taylor Swift? Or, can humanity flourish in Westeros? Do these superheroes have what it takes to save the universe? You invest all of your resources into building a narrative that points to the desired answer. People love piecing together details. They love stories. And so if you can get fans hooked on a meta narrative about what they're consuming, then you can keep them there as long as you like. People will be invested until the sun explodes. And the great thing is, suddenly people aren't really approaching your work, critiquing its merits based on the production or the lyricism or the complexity of the storytelling. They're just enjoying it within the cinematic universe that it exists in. So with this sort of rise of cinematic universes in pop culture, there is a sort of concurrent slang term that's come about that I find really interesting, the stan. So if you don't know, if you live under a goddamn rock, stans are people who are all the way bought into a specific artist or creator. It comes from a song, a music video that I feel like most people who use the word don't actually know, which is Stan by Eminem, which is Eminem is imagining this psychotic fan of his going crazy because Eminem is not answering his fan letters. And so the fan, Stan, kind of breaks mentally and begins to Eminem's horror, begin living out Eminem's lyrics in real life. I find this interesting because the Stan archetype, it's dark, but I think it's very relevant to the world that we're living in today culturally. It points out that to be a mega fan of something today is to be pathologically invested in it. And so to describe what I mean by that, I will evoke Slavoj Žižek's age-old joke from Lacan. Even if what a jealous husband claims about his wife is all true, his jealousy is still pathological. Really, I think what Žižek and Lacan are trying to say about pathology here is that it doesn't matter whether, the jealous husband who suspects that his wife is cheating on him, it does not matter to the husband, really, whether in reality the wife is unfaithful or not. The reaction to the narrative itself takes precedent. The narrative is everything, and the reality is completely irrelevant. If you develop a pathological interest in a problem or a question, the answer to the question doesn't matter at all. The only thing that matters is the narrative leading to the answer that you desire. Žižek brings up this Lacan quote in a context to talk about ideology. And really ideology is just the notion that ideas exist within a cinematic universe of their own. Everything that we think, everything that our culture produces and talks about is all sort of guided by a sort of invisible hand that has specific outcomes in mind. And everything that falls under this umbrella ultimately is demanding its participants to assist in the maximization of profit. We have been trained in our culture to become pathological consumers. So Marvel is only making these enormous movies with huge budgets multiple times a year because there's a tacit agreement among fans that we will show up. We'll fork over our money on opening weekend every time. We will, help Avengers Endgame make over $1 billion in the first weekend. Taylor Swift made this new music video and is doing the rollout the way she is because she knows that her fans are conspiratorial and they love to dig for facts and, look beyond the surface level, try to piece together clues to build a bigger narrative. She's doing this because she knows that it will get her views on YouTube. It'll bring her back into the spotlight. It'll generate anticipation and excitement about the album. And I mean, this is getting a little bit in too deep, but American politics itself has been turned into a cinematic universe by these, comedians, entertainers, and pundits who, have built their livelihoods on just commenting on the narrative surrounding a problem. It has been well figured out that solving problems in America is not particularly profitable, but commenting on problems is incredibly profitable. The narrative that Stephen Colbert is building, the narrative that Seth Meyers, Trevor Noah, John Oliver, all of these people are just investing in the cinematic universe of politics. They have very little to do with what politics is supposedly, built to achieve, which is solving actual real world problems. I think that's the point of politics. I don't really know. No matter the scope of your cinematic universe, whether it's Taylor Swift or the American political system, it is not built to solve a problem or find a solution or unearth valuable truths. It's built sheerly to profit off of its own self-created narrative and the sort of pathological mindset that narrative fosters. But all of this is coming out at price because it feels like we're keeping up with things. It feels like we're doing emotional labor because we are. We're keeping up with the news. We're keeping up with Marvel. We're keeping up with Taylor Swift. And it feels like work and it feels like participation. But, deep down, I think we know that we're not contributing to solutions. Hello, hi, me from the future. To tie it back to Taylor Swift, in conclusion, I don't see any issue with what Taylor Swift is doing right now. I just wanted to make a video about it because I think that it demonstrates very ostensibly that creating conspiracy and stoking the pathology of your fans in order to drive attention and profit towards your exploits is a increasingly common technique for media and entertainment organizations overall. In the world that we're living in today, it's very easy to feel like you're an agent, by participating in the latest Taylor Swift Easter egg hunt or, listening to the daily podcast every day. But in reality, you're not an agent, you're just a passive consumer. It's very easy in this day and age to spend, 40 hours a week working, and when you're not working, spending all of your time helping media organizations profit off of your attention. And increasingly the way that they're doing that is by co-signing you in the cinematic universe that they have built. Keep it 100, Swifties, and I'll see you on Tuesday. I don't make videos on a schedule. Okay, bye.